Among the dramatic changes planned for Jamaica Plain is the replacement of a tall bridge near Forest Hills Station known as the Casey Overpass. The Casey Arborway project will soon be underway, and local opinions are sharply divided. Some believe that replacing the overpass with street-level traffic will increase congestion, but others say the advantages will outweigh the drawbacks. We recently heard from one of the opponents. Tonight we hear from a Jamaica Plain resident who's been following the project closely and reporting on it in his blog, Arborway Matters. We'd like to welcome Clay Harper. Thank you very much for being with us, Clay.
Thanks for inviting me.
First of all, if people read your blog, there's tons of detail in here that's very important, but this is not just about the overpass.
No, it's not. I think the thing to keep in mind is the history of the area. The overpass was built 60 years ago to span 3 train lines that no longer exist on the surface as impediments. The old elevated orange line, the heavy rail line that ran on a massive stone viaduct, and the old Arborway E-line trolley no longer turns around and goes into the Arborway yard there. So at the moment, the bridge itself, the overpass, is part of the problem on the surface. It's huge, it's really long, it has very large abutments and ramps that take up a lot of real estate on the ground. The DOT went through a long, lengthy process, did a lot of traffic studies and computer models out to the year 2035, and discovered that they could replace the overpass with an improved network of surface roads that perform far better than the existing conditions and don't reduce the level of service for through traffic and commuters coming from the south. So that also turns out to be a much cheaper solution than building a new bridge. And because of that, it frees up monies for other improvements to the neighborhood. There's a whole lot of new things that will be terrific for commuters. There's a new head house for the direct access to the Orange Line platform that will come from the end of Southwest Corridor Park. There's a new and expanded busway for where the 39 bus will terminate in the future. There's a new revamped plaza at the T station itself. And there are 3 miles of bike paths, 3 miles of new sidewalks, 560 new trees, and 1.3 acres, I believe, of new green space created. All of that is going to make for a much more verdant sort of landscape compared to what we have now.
Now, I know that this is a road that doesn't have a lot of traffic most of the day, but there are a lot of people who are reacting that, well, this is going to be one more traffic light, it's going to take longer, there's going to be more pollution when the cars are stopping and starting. What about that?
Well, you know, the data, the studies don't really support that position. The DOT did a lot of work that was all peer-reviewed by experts in this field. I'm not one. I'm not a traffic engineer. And I tend to trust the professionals. I've read the data, I've looked at it, and there are almost no connections that local residents in particular need to make, and through traffic as well, where it's any slower without the bridge. And because it's not slower, there won't be any additional pollution.
Now, the state is actually not just looking at this one intersection at the bridge or Morton Street in Washington, but they're looking at this whole stretch, this whole corridor really, from the eastern side of the bridge all the way up almost to Jamaica Pond.
Well, that's 2 separate initiatives. The DCR has one that's not quite piggybacking, but continuing on from the improvements being made directly to Forest Hills that may lead to much more improved bicycle facilities between the Arboretum and Jamaica Pond. That'll be one of the sections of the Emerald Necklace Parkways that are least friendly to bikes and kids. And the DCR has begun a process of investigating what they might be able to do to make that more conducive to that kind of recreational use.
Now, maybe one of the most dramatic contrasts here is how this is going to be different from what we have now, because now we've got the bridge, you know, the asphalt and the shadow, and when I look at the diagrams, I see a lot of green. I mean, is it really going to look almost like VFW Parkway in West Roxbury?
It'll be, from my perspective, I think it'll be better than that. One of the things that Frederick Law Olmsted designed into it originally was an echo of the Arboretum itself. He wanted flowering trees on the section of the Emerald Necklace, what we now call the Emerald Necklace Parkways, to be that he wanted these flowering trees near the Arboretum to signal that you're in this location that celebrates that sort of greenery. Then he went off to Europe, and the parks commissioner of the city at the time changed the plant order and ordered up red oaks for the whole length, running from the Riverway all the way to Franklin Park. And because of that, we currently have this monoculture of now 100-year-old dying trees. The Arboretum has worked with the landscape architects that are part of this project to make a much more varied and they're using 69 different species of trees: street trees, shade trees, flowering shrubs, dogwoods. It should be really, really different compared to what most of the Emerald Necklace parks look like, but it will also be really beautiful. And over the course of the seasons, there'll be a lot of variety created for the residents of the area, as well as commuters and recreational users that come through.
Now, when they talk about reinforcing the sense of connection along the Emerald Necklace between Jamaica Plain and Franklin Park, it's kind of abstract. So how do you think that's going to change people's behavior and what they do, how they enjoy this?
Well, right now, the Emerald Necklace is a linear park, and if you're coming along it either on foot or on bicycle, as a recreational user, once you get to the Arboretum, you're completely cut off from access to Franklin Park because of all of the zigzag routes that you're forced to take on the surface, and those are caused by the bridge itself. If the bridge isn't there, and these new bike paths, which are mostly off-street bike paths, are created much like we have in Southwest Corridor Park, so that you've got protected and separated conveyances for both pedestrian users and bikes. These connections get made again so that it's much more sensible for people that aren't familiar with the area to actually use it. Shea Circle is the rotary closest to Franklin Park. One of the features of the plan is to turn that into a signalized intersection instead of having this large 1930s era roundabout that was designed long after Olmsted's time. By taking the pieces of that pizza, really, the island, and reconnecting them to the land, you're creating more park space around the edges. And it makes it far safer for both pedestrians and bikes and cars, really, who it's always been a very dangerous rotary. But it makes it possible to get across that for recreational use.
And just a little more time to add here, pedestrian safety. If you're trying to get to the Arboretum from somewhere in JP and you're close to the Forest Hills Gate, I guess it's going to be different.
Yes, it will be. One of the new things happening is there'll be a crosswalk at the Forest Hills Gate, which is the one, as you said, closest to the station. And you'll be able to get to the Arboretum from both sides of the Arborway.
All right, thank you very much for being with us.
Sure, thanks for having me.
And the blog is Arborway Matters. Thank you for joining us, Clay Harper. We'll have more news in just a moment.